not only does affirmative action like help, minorities, people of color, but also women in general. And there's a lot of facets of engineering, the medical system, and other factors that, because of affirmative action, have helped. I'll just go into something. For example, let's say like in the medical field, endometriosis, something like that has not been studied in women due to so little women being in the medical field. Also, for example, like cars, the seatbelt is made especially for the male body. They're only tested with male mannequins, so a lot of women are in risk of dying in car crashes at a higher rate. There's a lot of things that benefit from a diverse group of people, both in engineering and medical fields and education and other facets of the systems. And I was just wondering, without affirmative action, how do you think we can bring these people in to bring a variety of opinions?
Yeah, no, I mean,
views?
just have a meritocracy, right? So you have 3 white men around you. You can see 1, 2, 3. So if one supports affirmative, no, it's okay. If one supports affirmative action,
Right.
it would mean that you would be okay turning to those 3 men and saying, I deserve the position more than you based on something that doesn't matter more than something that does matter.
I feel like that's one facet of it that we're not also paying attention to, is that people that are graduating from the same schools. They're graduating with the same degrees.
With lower test scores, though. Much lower. Every study of affirmative action, for example, the Harvard case showed that it was nearly 40% lower test scores for people of color versus their white male counterparts and Asian counterparts.
And so how
at
can
some point,
is that like why would that happen? Do you think
why?
it's yeah?
Why
What causes that? Do you think it's just because people of color are more stupid?
No,
or,
of course not.
Right.
I mean, people of color come from lower socioeconomic backgrounds that don't prioritize education as
so
much.
how do we
but
fix
that's
those socioeconomic statuses?
Right, that's an interesting point. Not should we try to penalize white males that are competent to go run our systems and our institutions. So those are 2 different things.
Right.
So what we're doing is our institutions are now becoming less excellent. Our country is not working like it used to because we basically told people that are very qualified and very competent that, sorry, we're not going to put a position for you here. For example, the U.S. Secret Service. Let me just give you one example, okay? Now the Secret Service has said that we want to have 30% of all our agents be women, which, by the way, they have lower fitness criteria. So they have less pull-ups, less push-ups, slower mile time.
That's something that's due to your
hold on. Exactly. Yeah, no, but this is affirmative action, right? And so therefore,
there's fields I don't think that's a good. One second. I just don't think that's a good example because women will never be as strong as men, at least genetically.
So that's an interesting question.
So I think it should be something that's more ideologically based.
Will women be as good at engineering as men, person for person?
Not necessarily, but
okay. Well, then, how is that different than the Secret Service example?
Well, the problem is that
because the male mind is wired different than the female mind. By the way, men will never be as good. Hold on, I'll prove it to you. Men will never be as good at counseling or psychology sessions as women. Men will never be good at nursing or elementary school education as women. We have certain giftings because our brain is wired a certain way. Women are far better gifted at micro topics, so individual connection, empathetic type conversations, healing people that past trauma and wound. Men are much better at macro topics, right? Trying to build a building, put a skyscraper up, trying to talk geopolitics. And I'll prove it to you. When you go and you see 5 women eating lunch, they're probably talking about micro topics, conversations they had, relationships, friendships. Men, they're talking about politics, sports, or the stock market.
That's not necessarily
true. Oh,
yes.
You guys all agree, right?
I mean, there's a reason.
These are bimodal general truths, right? Of course, there's exceptions, but
it's not a general truth, though. I feel like women have the capability of having political conversations.
Of course they do, but it's not the general wiring or nature of women.
It's not. There's no wiring for your brain to like Donald Trump. That's not a real thing. I feel like.
But wait a second. But do you think that men and women are made different in our brains?
Certain things, but not necessarily. It doesn't channel you to be a specific thing.
What things?
Well, there's specific wirings to produce certain types of hormones, and that's differences that are genetically.
So you don't think that men are more likely to like contact sports, more likely to enjoy football, UFC, hunting?
I think that's because of a societal norm in general. Over a lot of time.
No, come on, you're smarter than that. That's not true. Well, hold on. So why is it
there's women that play football? So you can't just say that.
And there are men that dress in drag, but those are not the general truth of it. So let me just be clear. You think that there's nothing within the female brain in its constitution that makes young ladies more likely?
I mean, being that I'm an engineer, I don't think so. No. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I feel like there's
So you think if you pick a random lady here, that they'd be just as comfortable sitting and watching a 4-hour football game than they were to go get their hair done with their best girlfriend?
well, I feel like that's kind of diminishing to say, oh, because you're a woman, you will not be able to sit through a 4-hour
But
football field.
is it diminishing to say a man wouldn't want to go get his hair done? No,
No, I'm sure you get your hair done, right?
not really. It's like 10 minutes in and out, like barbershop.
Okay, but you still do it. It's
But the point, again, there are certain things that women will take more seriously. For example, women will take a lot longer getting ready for the day than men.
Yeah.
Right? Why?
because we're held to higher standards to
No,
look pretty.
no.
For example, your hair. How short is your hair? It's super short. Mine, it's gonna take longer to dry.
Do you wear
right?
makeup?
Yeah.
Why?
Because you want to look pretty, and it takes.
Yeah, that's not important to me because I'm a man.
Well, right. But who made you
but
feel
there's
that
something
way?
in your
but you
wiring.
feel comfortable
No,
not
no,
wearing
it's not
makeup because of a certain reason.
Well, but you wouldn't feel comfortable wearing makeup?
I can not wear makeup.
But why do you do it?
I mean, like right now I'm not wearing like anything really.
No, I know, but that's the point, is that at some point you wear makeup because there's something within your wiring that says, I want to be presentable to the world, and that wiring honestly is, I want to find a mate to have
I mean,
children.
this question was about affirmative action. I think we're
No,
getting
it's not. It's actually
subject.
really important because I don't think there's any differences between races, but I think that when it comes to affirmative action, we're saying that there are differences.
Right.
That we're trying to say that things that don't matter should matter. Should we try to have the same amount of female to male OBGYNs?
I think it should
Hold on.
be similar to the amount of like
OBGYNs,
the general
So,
population.
hold on. 85% of all OBGYNs are female.
Yeah.
So now should we have parity so that men...
I have an OBGYN that's a man. That's not a problem.
That's not the point. The point is, should we have parity?
I think it should be similar to like whatever the.
Got it. Okay. So you're consistent. So women studying in the OBGYN field will be actively discriminated against. So a man can, because we must have parity.
It's not about people in the OBGYN specifically. It's about people in general. Men were, like, for example, women were not able to vote until like less than 100 years ago, basically, right?
What does that have to do with
One
the
second.
field?
So because of that, a lot of the laws, a lot of everything that's set in place was made by men, was excluding women, was creating like reforms and like certain legislations that would specifically, support men rather than women, because women don't have that ability.
Or support society. I don't think it was always about
Well,
supporting
for
men.
example, like what about it? Like what I brought up, endometriosis, or like the seatbelt accident, like all those stuff is due because we tend to favor men in specific.
Well, so I just don't believe that. First of all, because
I mean,
research
I
will go
can
where the money
show
is,
you,
and
but-
so if was there money in endometriosis research?
Not much, because
Well,
men
that's
don't
why.
care.
So maybe it wasn't sexism. Maybe it was a monetary explanation.
Well, who has the money in a society?
Well, actually, women
usually?
control more money than men in the country.
But women weren't able to have bank accounts until like less than 100 years ago, so they can't really build that generational wealth.
Do you think it's been a better thing with women's liberation in the last 20, 30 years?
Yeah, I would
Do
be.
you think that's interesting? Do you think women are happier in America today than they were 30 years ago?
Yeah,
Then why are they the most depressed group in the history of the species?
because we have these legislations that don't allow us to
Okay,
go
but
into certain.
women are the most suicidal, addicted to antidepressants.
I thought it was men.
No. Women are far more suicidal. Men are more successful in committing suicide. Big difference. When men commit suicide, they're much better at it. Women have far more suicidal ideation than men.
Okay.
But why is it that with women being liberated the last 50 years, women are the most miserable they've ever been? Why is that?
I don't think that's because we're allowed to have money.
No, I'm
now, or
asking. I'm
because-
asking but it's like more liberation, more college degrees, more birth control, less marriage,
I would
less
argue
kids.
otherwise. I don't know where you got that data.
No,
we're
everybody
more
agrees that
depressed.
women are super miserable, as far as versus 30 years ago.
Well, it could be the fact that because women weren't able to go to a psychologist or before.
Or maybe it's because they're not doing the one thing that they want to do, which is to get married and have children.
Yeah, she's saying that no, it's actually opposite. It's saying that women actually. It says women around the world report higher levels of life satisfaction than men, but at the same time report more daily stress.
Yeah,
so we're just held to
type in women antidepressant use 2024. It is the highest it has ever been.
But there's more layers to it than that. It can't just be that. You have
Is
to
there?
look at why are women more likely to go and talk to a psychologist. There's the differences in that.
So, but I'm just curious. So, do you think women are generally happier in 2024 than they were in 1964?
Yes.
Really? So you think?
I mean, just as a woman of color, I don't think being not having rights back then
what
would have been
rights
good.
did they not have in 1964?
They weren't able to get married to like
course you
a white man. That's like
course you
my
could.
I'm in an interracial relationship. I'm dating a white man. Like if I was back then, I would never be with the love of my life. I feel like that's
Why?
one point that
What-
because
what-
you're not allowed to marry black
what-
black people
what
are not
world-
allowed to marry white people back then.
Where?
Before 1964.
Where?
In America.
No, that was like outlawed in like 1918.
It wasn't 1919. It was happening still until 1964. Also, banks were like specifically not allowing black people to like own homes back then. They could
Well,
just
first
turn
of
them
all,
away.
they were able to own homes. You're talking about redlining, which is a completely different thing.
Well,
But-
they
But
could.
no, I'm curious though. At some point,
1967.
Yeah.
That's when interracial marriage was finally brought
yes,
like here.
in the last state, which was where?
Okay, but that's crazy still. Like
Huh?
I would not be able to be.
Yeah.
You asked me the question, as a woman, would you be happier back then? No, I wouldn't because I
Okay,
couldn't
that's
be
fine.
with the love of my life.
I think it's shocking.
Yeah.
We are seeing
and
the,
that's,
we're
so
seeing
things
the
like
most.
that. So things like that is what is important
No,
to
it's
show.
amazing. If you think women and like people are happier today than they were 50 or 60 years ago, it's remarkable. It's just objectively
Well, just
not
by
true.
that fact that I would be able to marry someone that I love is, I think,
Well, you just
a
said
great
that
point.
it was repealed in 67 in one state, by the way.
1967. That's when it was finally like made like law. So before that, like
In every state.
like in every state, I'm pretty sure that's when it
There's
was
no
the last
way
one.
that is true.
They just looked it up. They just showed me it.
There's no way it's true in every state.
I don't know what to
interracial
tell you,
marriage
my
is
God.
allowed. Yeah, it's just not true.
That's just what it
Yeah.
shows. Well, you
So-
can't just say that's not true and just say, oh, like
So you're trying to tell me in the state of Wisconsin you could not interracially marry in 1964?
you couldn't. I'm pretty sure in Wisconsin you couldn't.
Is that? I mean, I think that's. Yeah, it's just like that's not even close to being true. Yeah, I'm sure there were some southern states where it might have been true. Yeah.
Well, now we're avoiding it.
Yeah, but no. Okay, so affirmative action. Let me ask you a question. What should matter more, race or merit?
Oh, okay.
So what should matter more, race or merit?
I don't think it's based on like a little bit of both. Yes.
Why?
I think
why
that,
should race
well,
matter?
my initial point was that because of not having like people, of certain races or certain genders, like be here and working in engineering and stuff like that, we have not been able to like research into certain things that would benefit.
Do you
those
think there's
people.
any risk that we might have institutions that aren't as excellent?
No.
There is not a single example where affirmative action is employed and standards are not brought down.
I wouldn't say that, but.
Okay, thank you very much.
But I just had the question of how would you want to fix that? Just like
There's no problem to fix. Pure meritocracy.
no, I'm just saying like how do you bring people with diverse opinions?
Oh, yeah, I mean, like, I don't care that much about, I care about excellence.
So like women, like you used to be
I
studying
don't
into
care
stuff
about
like
putting women in
endometriosis
STEM.
and
I
stuff
care
like
about
that.
being a strong
No, I'm talking
and-
about like being able to like look into those type of things, like endometriosis, like all this stuff. How do we make that
that's-
safer for
those
other
are-
people without bringing people that care about it?
Not that important to me. I want the country we once had,
Oh.
which was the greatest country ever, where we put excellence and we put superior intellect above like sensitive racial politics. Not interesting to me.
Okay.
Because it was a bunch of white men that were like running the country, and all of a sudden we've
I'm
decided.
not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just
No,
saying
good.
that.
Like that's fine. I mean, but when we used to have a country that was based on merit, we were more successful, and we were a better run country, and we're objectively not now.